Hey folks, and welcome to another new episode of Ricoh GR 102. This episode we're going to be looking at the Ricoh Recipes app and how to apply recipes to your Ricoh GR3 or your GR3X. Just as a recap, the GR 101 series was all about using the basic functions of the camera and getting to know it. And the Ricoh GR 102 series will be going beyond what the camera can do on its own, and we'll be looking at using the camera on a tripod, using it with filters and other things that might involve an extra purchase or external apps, as this video does. We'll be looking at the Ricoh Recipes app, which is free but does include some in-app purchases. And what is it? Well, the Ricoh Recipes app is all about film simulations, film or JPEG recipes or image control profiles. So the app has dozens of recipes, as they call them. And this is kind of a new term. Ricoh call them image control profiles. Fuji call them film simulations. And they're just settings that get applied to your JPEGs. They don't really affect RAW, but if you want to skip the RAW shooting process and go straight to JPEG, or do both and shoot RAW plus, then you can either use the built-in film simulations or recipes that are already in the camera, or you can create your own. I've already done this with my own monochrome style. You can see if you go back through the back catalogue of videos, you can see my monochrome one, and I've also done a Leica Look one, and I like using them. If I can get away with not editing RAW files on a computer and just print JPEGs or just save my JPEGs, then I'm perfectly happy to do that. So we're going to look at how this app works and what it does. Basically, it is a database of settings that you can apply to the GR3 and the GR3X, and perhaps even the GR2. And it shows you some examples. So if we take this vintage film here, then you've got all the settings that can be changed on the camera. It can be a little confusing and intimidating at first looking at all of this, but it's really not that difficult. And this is what we're going to take a look at today. And across the top here, we have some sample images with this recipe applied to the JPEGs. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to zoom into the iPad screen now, and you'll hear the sound change a little bit as I use a different type of microphone. And then we're going to go through one of these. Going to go through this X Pro Teal down here. And we're going to apply the X Pro Teal recipe to the camera with all of the settings. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the app now by zooming into the screen now. Okay, so now I'm recording the iPad screen now. You can't see my hands or anything, but I'm going to start the Ricoh Recipes app here by tapping on that icon. And as you can see, the app has got a sidebar. This is available for the iPhone, iPad, and it's also available on the Google Play Store. So you should be able to get it for Android devices as well. But we've got these alphabetically ordered and sorted list of different film simulations and Ricoh recipes and image control profiles. So there's lots of them to choose from. And if you look at these here with the little aperture icon by the name there, these are ones that require a payment. All of the others are free. You get all of the information that you need. And if you want to try one out, which is what we're going to do, you just select it. Take a look at the sample images. You can make them a little bigger by touching on them like that and scrolling in them. And this is quite a distinctive look, I think. This X Pro Teal. I'm guessing that X Pro comes from the name of the Fuji X Pro camera. And this is a nice simulation, I think. It's probably not one I would use. I like bolder colours, but It's quite distinctive, and so we'll be able to check this one out. Okay, now right under the images you have the recipe settings. Now all of these settings here on the left hand side, under the title recipe, you have effect, saturation, hue, high, low key. All of these are settings that you can find in your Ricoh GR3 and your GR3X camera. Over on the right in the bolder font, you can see the actual settings that apply to these, the values that apply to these settings. Sorry. So under across from effect there, if I scroll effect up to the top, you can see we're going to be starting with cross process. That means in the Ricoh camera, we're going to create a custom profile, and we're going to start out by using the baked in recipe or profile called cross process. Then we're going to go through the values that make up that recipe, and we're going to set them according to this plan here. Now, when we get down to clarity, I'll just scroll clarity up to the top there so you can see what I'm talking about. Clarity at the top is on -2. After clarity, we have to go to a different place in the menu, and this will be in the proper shooting menu of the camera, where we will adjust highlight correction, shadow correction, peripheral illumination correction, noise reduction, white balance compensation, and the last two, ISO and exposure compensation. I don't really think we have to mess about with those too much, because those are variables that will change during your shooting anyway, where the others will all remain as static absolute values. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at. Now I'm going to switch back to the top down view now, and you'll be able to see the rear screen of the Ricoh. And if you've got the app installed on something like an iPad, then you should be able to follow along as I make these changes to the camera. Okay, let's check that out now. Okay, so far so good. Let's start customizing the camera setup. Oh, you can see the screen nice and clearly. And I'm just going to start going into the menu now and changing things around a little bit. So first of all, we're going to be using X Pro Teal, the last item in the app when sorted A to Z. And we're going to go in here now, and I am going to select my custom 2 option down there, and then I'm going to hit the FM button. Now what I'm doing now is changing the image control profile from my quick menu. And if you don't have your camera set up like this, or you want to get your camera set up like this, then I suggest going back to the Ricoh GR 101 series and checking out the first few videos where it says basic setup and customization. Okay, so going to go in the quick menu now. I'm going to press the jog wheel in like that, and my first item is the image control profiles, where I can change these profiles, and I'm selecting custom profile 2. And to customize this, I have to now press the FN button, and this is how you build a recipe. And the X Pro Teal wants to start out with the cross processing image control profile, and you can see the text changes up here telling you which one we are on, and there it is, cross processing. Sorry, they call it in the app, they call it cross process, and in the GR camera it's called cross processing. And then we go down to the various settings in that now, and it says saturation +2. So we go down and select saturation, and we bump that up 2 marks, so it says +2. And then under hue, it wants to go -2, and high key, low key, it wants -2. And in contrast, general contrast, it wants -4. And in contrast highlight and contrast shadow, it also wants -4. So we just set those like that, quickly running through. And then sharpness, it wants to go -1. And now I'm going to scroll a little bit here. And then the next option is toning, and it wants a blue tone, and it's on blue now, so I don't need to touch that. And then shading, that stays on 0, and clarity goes to -2. Okay, so those are all the basic settings for the actual image profile. And now we're going to go to the remaining settings that are at a different place in the camera shooting menu. So I'm going to hit OK for that now. That is now set, and then I'm going to go press OK for that once more, and now we're back to the shooting mode of the camera. So now I'm going to hit the menu button now, and then we're going to look at the various settings that we can change here. So the first one in the Ricoh Recipes app is highlight correction. So we're going to go around here and find highlight correction. Now I do believe that highlight correction and shadow correction are actually hidden under this one called dynamic range or D range correction on the camera itself. So we're going to go in that one, and we should have two options there, and we can change, and there they are. So highlight correction first, that just wants to be set to on, and which it is, and then shadow correction wants to be on medium, which it is, that's fine. And then we're going to go one step back by hitting the menu button again, and then we're going to look at peripheral illumination correction, which is just set to on. So we're going to go in there, switch that to on there, and that kind of brightens up the edges. And then we're going to look at noise reduction, which is there, and it says noise reduction should be off. So we're going to look at all the noise reductions. We've got slow shutter speed noise reduction, that is off. High ISO noise reduction is also off, and I'm not going to mess with any custom options. So slow shutter and high ISO noise reduction are both set to off. So we go back one again, and now we're going to look at white balance. So white balance here is, for me, normally white balance would be just set to auto. And there's my main white balance setting there. But it wants us to change the white balance to something called color temperature, CT. And you can see in the app it says CT and then 5500K. So we're going to go in there now, and we're going to go all the way down to the last item, K, which is Kelvin color temperature scale, and we're going to customize the settings behind that now by pressing the FN button to go in there. On the left we have the actual value scale, and on the right we have some fine adjustments, and you can switch between the two of these by using the display button. That's what this little icon down here is telling you. So if I hit the display button now, we will jump over here and make some changes on this kind of grid setup. And if we stay where we are, we will be using the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock position of the rear dial to change values over here. Now the app says we want a color temperature of 5500K, and it is currently on 4280. So we're going to go up the scale like that until we get 5500 on the nose there, like that. And now we're going to use the display button, DISP. Press once on that, and we are now over here. You can just about make out a tiny yellow dot in the middle of the screen. Now these are the two settings called white balance compensation, A, B and GM. So when you move this around like a cursor, you use the 12, the 6, the 9 and the 3 positions of the dial to move the cursor around. You will see these values change. We want A5 and G1. So we're going to go up. One tick up was G1, that's set, and one tick to the right is A1, but we want A5, so we go 1 2 3 4 5 there. So those are the settings we want there, G1 and A5. Then we're going to hit OK, and all of that is set up. And the final settings for ISO and exposure compensation, these are variables that will change as you shoot, especially if, like me, you're using auto ISO, so I don't bother making those changes there. And exposure compensation, it's recommending that it should be plus 2/3 of a stop, and you can decide that as you shoot. So now we're just going to hit OK and go out of the menu, and those are all the settings. And I'm going to finish off this video by showing you some shots that have been developed using this, and yeah, that's how you apply a Ricoh recipe to your Ricoh GR3 or your GR3X, and I will see you soon. Bye.
appreciate it, Mom.